Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Rich. It's me, Vinod, recording from Bangalore. I know it's not a studio. Some of you are still wondering why am I doing this, though the view count is dropping and what do you call it? We're not talking about Indian stocks, and there seems to be a lack of energy from me. I don't know. I'm just the same old Vinod doing the same old thing. Just trying to get some information out to you, which may be of benefit to you since you're all investors, value investors like me, and trying to keep you going because the investment journey is long and hard, and life keeps throwing us these black swans, these curveballs, as I say, and can catch you unaware, like a googly does. If you're an Indian cricket fan, or if you're a baseball fan, curveballs, or if you're generally a Nassim Taleb fan, the black swans. And that is the main point of this video today. More than talking about what is happening in terms of a stock or a company, I wanted to hit upon what is happening globally in macroeconomics and the changing wind and the changing tides, how it's going to affect all of us. This is a two-part video. The first part is mainly dealing with NRIs. Tomorrow we will explore the same event on how it's going to affect value investors and what's going to happen to value investors because of this. It has not come to fruition. Let me state this clearly. I'm not fear-mongering, but at the same time, it's better to be prepared. It's always best to be prepared and have a plan in place in case things don't go according to the way we want. And if there are signs in the market, signs macroeconomically in terms of policy, we should be prepared to face them when they arrive. So that is the main thing which I'm here. I'm not trying to clickbait you or try to pull you into a video just to get some view counts. If you've been seeing this channel for some time, you definitely know I'm not in that category at all. So what is this, what is this long prolonged intro which you've given us? Well, there is something that's happened. Well, Donald Trump has managed to push through a bill in the House, and that bill seems to be now heading to the Senate, and he's been putting immense pressure on them to push this through. If it was the regular life which we have been having maybe 5, 6, 10 years back, I would say, this is nothing, don't worry about it, it's not going to go through. But of lately, especially since Jan, seeing the amount of churning that is happening in terms of the way the world order used to be to where we are going, this is possible. It's quite possible that this will get pushed through and we could be in a new environment. And what is this new environment? Well, it's basically to do with NRIs to start with. NRIs are non-resident Indians, for those of you who do not know or who are not in the know, who are non-Indians who are watching this channel, which I think are very few. But anyway, NRIs are non-resident Indians. Indians who have been outside the country for more than 6 months are classified as NRIs. And those are the ones I'm talking about, especially the ones in the US. The NRIs in the US, don't let this tax catch you off guard. What is this tax? Well, imagine sending money home like you always have, and suddenly being slapped with a 3.5% tax on it. You've earned it, you did the work, you paid the tax, income tax that is, and now they're going to tax you again when you're sending it out. This is just not a rumor. It's part of the new bill which has been passed in the House. It's in the Senate now, and it's aimed squarely at people like you and me who are trying to sit in the US and maybe earn a few dollars here and there, and we pay our income tax and we've been following the law. Now, just because you are an NRI and you're not an American citizen and you want to send money out, they're going to slap you. And this is not only an NRI of H1B, this is not an L1 or an F1, or even if you're a green card holder, you got to understand what is coming because it applies to all of you, right? This one big beautiful bill which he so-called passed, well, what is that? Well, it's anything but beautiful. It is not beautiful because anytime you want to send money out of the country now, especially if you're sending it home, you're going to be slapped on with this. This is already passed like in the House Senate, like I said, in May 22nd, 25, and this includes this 23.5 excise on tax remittance starting from 1st Jan 2026. So that means you still have a little bit of breathing room. If the Senate does pass it and Donald Trump does sign it into law, then from 1st Jan is when this starts ticking. It's unlike any income tax, which is based purely on what you're earning, right? It's a percentage of how much income you're making and slabs and all that stuff. It's not like that at all. It's not calculated on anything like this. This is purely a flat charge, which they're going to be putting on every single dollar you send out, right? So let's say if you send out $1,000, Uncle Sam will keep $35 in his pocket. Maybe if you send the $35, they'll put a charge on it and take $35 extra from you, or they may be discounting it. So this is all going to be worked out and figured out. But as of now, for every $100,000 you send out, $35 is what Uncle Sam is going to ask you to give him. So what is the real impact of all this? Why are you going on and on about this, Vinod? What has this got to do with me, my value investing, my investments, my stock portfolio? Well, all of us sitting about, what do we do? Especially the ones who I've been talking to sitting in the US. We have parents here, we have relatives here, we have home loans which we have left here, and we have been supporting these home loans and our parents, heck, even our kids' school fees. Some of us have our kids studying in schools, not in the US, but outside, like my school. A lot of people were sitting inside my school studying in India, and their parents were out in the US, or they could be studying anywhere. But your parents are in the US and you need to send money. Even if you're sending money for a funeral, let's say someone passed away, you're going to be slapped with this. And it does matter, because for every what they call $100, $3.50 does add up over the year. It really adds up. Imagine you've been sending your parents $2,000 a month, right? $2,000 a month to support them for their house expenses, their rental expenses, and that is works out around $24,000 a year you've been sending out to India. Now you'll have an additional $840 is what you're going to be paying, and that works up. So this is basically a tax on a tax, like what George Harrison said in the song Taxman. You walk on the street, I'll tax your feet, and you put on shoes, I'm going to tax that. In fact, taxing everything now has reached an incredible situation in the US where it's unimaginable to even think of this a few years ago that Americans would do this. The land of the free, the home of the brave, and where capitalism has very strong roots, and fairness is above all things, due process, all these things they've built a foundation of their civilization on, is now slowly coming apart. And this tax on a tax is something like what we see here in India, or in a developing country which is trying to struggle and move forward. Here it is really strange that the American government wants to punish, very specifically. It seems to be surgically targeting people here. So this comes on a tax on a tax, because you paid income tax and now you're being taxed. So what do you do now? The question is that, do you panic? No. First, don't panic, right? But at the same time, don't ignore this, because I'm not, like I said in the beginning of the video, it has not come into law. It's not been signed. There's still a whole process of the Senate, and the Senate did not pass in full majority in the House. It scraped through in the House. So now the senators are looking at it and they're pushing back. And a lot of Republican senators, like the senator from Wisconsin, are out there saying this is crazy and we should not be doing this. That, he got into politics to help America and he doesn't understand what's going on. So what do you do? Well, from what I can gather and I've understood so far, try and consolidate your transfers going forward. If this comes into, law, try and consolidate, reduce your amount of transactions so your hits are less, and track your transfers. Keep a detailed record of your dates and amounts and the reasons why you're transferring, because it may help in first with compliance, making sure that you're compliant with all this, so you don't get, in the US they're very finicky about all this. And second, potentially they may offer some claims, they might give some wiggle room, and if you get those wiggle rooms, you can use this. And do review your status, immigration status. If you're a citizen, of course, this won't be affecting you so much. There's more people who are NRIs who are going to be affected. But like I said, it's not been passed, so keep an eye on actual law. And that is why it's important to get yourself a certified cross-border tax consultant if you're there in the US, who knows Indian tax laws and who knows American tax laws, so who can make sure how you are moving your funds, that you try and minimize these costs to you. And of course, IRS itself will have its own recognized platforms and authorized platforms, and I'm sure if you do it through that, they'll probably give you some exemptions and maybe even possibly some return. So this is what you should keep in mind. So if you are sending money out of the US, especially for investment, let's say you're sending money out to India for investments, so weigh your options carefully. Like how we say in India, to invest out of India to US or Japan. My brother said, at least if you're looking at 50,000 rupees a month, or at least a lakh, 7.5 lakhs to 8 lakhs, then only with all the costs and implications involved, it really starts making any sense in terms of seeing any return. Same way, if this does come into it, keep that in mind if you are investing out into India or you're paying some home loans. So keep all that in your mind as you're calculating. And so it's just not about a few dollars. It's about financial plans being disrupted. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but these things add up. Compounding, we've spoken about the part of compounding. That's why I'm bringing this to you, because $3.50 compounded, can turn into a lot of money. The whole story about the chess board where 1 rice, 2 rice, then it becomes 4, 8, 16, 64, it adds up. So keep that in mind. There's nothing to panic about. Like I said, it doesn't come, but it probably will come. And it's more likely to come than not come is what I feel, because the way the world is right now and the way American politics is right now, there seems to be a little dialogue or negotiation happening where both sides are heard. Right now, it seems to be one side feels completely in power and they feel they've been wronged for a very long time and they need to right these wrongs. And this is one of the ways they feel they can right the wrong. So tomorrow's video, what is it going to be about? It'll be a part 2 to this, a continuation on this. And that will talk more in detail about how this bill will come to your investments. If you're a value investor, how it's important, and trust me, it's important. Section 899, what it's called, you really need to see how it affects your portfolio, if it's an American portfolio or an Indian portfolio. As an investor, how to navigate Section 899 as an Indian is what I want to hit upon tomorrow. Thanks for watching the video. And those of you who I did manage to see in Bangalore for this event today, which I'm going for, I'm happy I met you and we could have a conversation. I am trying to meet a few more of you next weekend on Saturday. I'm trying to do that as a double event for the entire day, because a lot of you responded saying that you're very keen on meeting. So I'll try and make sure all of you are accommodated. Those of you who could not make it this weekend, if you're still interested in coming and meeting me and my team on this meetup, catch up, talking about investments and other things, do reach out to me on my WhatsApp. I'll try and slot you in, or on Instagram, get into the group, and in any of my posts, drop in a note saying, hey Vinod, give me a comment on that, in any of my posts saying, hey Vinod, I would like to come, I wasn't able to get through. I'll make sure someone from my team reaches out and gets this done. Thanks for watching the video as always. I hope you had a wonderful day and hope you have a wonderful evening. Nothing else much more to say other than that. Good night and see you tomorrow with another one. Bye.